And welcome back to another episode of Suplex
Biddies.
Brought to you by Couch Guy Sports. Make sure you check everything out. Use the internet one time, like we tell you always.
Biddies.
As I am the host, Chris Jones, along with my other co-hosts, Diego the DJ Galvez and Andrew the wrestling aficionado.
Andrew, too close to the camera, Hunneman. Yeah.
Can I get through an intro without you interrupting?
I was trying to do mine. I said, Andrew, too close to the camera, Hunneman.
Nah, this fucking kid.
Okay.
We're gonna do things a little bit differently today. We're gonna talk about Fastlane, and then we're actually gonna do a list, which we give all of our top 10 WrestleMania matches of all time. So, for starters, we're just gonna kind of briefly touch upon Fastlane. We'll start with Diego. Diego, want to give me a highlight or a low light of the pay-per-view?
Well, my low light, we all got into an argument later this week about it.
Oh, that was fantastic. I don't care what you say. That was great.
My low light
was great television.
You know, unfortunately for me, my low light was the Bliss versus Orton match. It's not so much about the context behind it. The context behind it, I'm cool with it. I'm actually very happy to see the Fiend back. I think it was the of the match itself that I was just not captured by. I thought the promo was really good. I thought the recap leading up to that match was really, really good. I think WWE did a fantastic job leading off to that. But I think in itself, just the context of it, I was just like, what the fuck? To see a pair of adults just kind of run around a playground and oops, here's a set of lights just falling on you. I was like, all right, like that's it. But I wanted to see a little bit more of, I don't know. I think I wanted to see just a lot more. I wanted to see WWE kind of push the envelope a little bit here and make an ass out of Randy Orton with Alexa Bliss really just beating the living crap out of him and pulling her superficial, powers. But other than that, I thought the videography behind it was really good. Like those flashes of fire through his Orton, like those were cool.
Mm-hmm.
But,
I mean the fireballs that she threw at him?
Oh, whatever.
Yeah, she did a fireball. She had fire come up between them. It was cool.
For Christ's sakes. Either way.
Yeah.
Either way, those were cool, but other than that, I wasn't fully bought. I do say the Fiend's paint and all that stuff, like the paint job that they did on, that stuff looked real good. I will say the graphics of all of it, they were very good. There was no way of saying otherwise. Like I said, just the context behind Orton versus Bliss at that moment, I just wasn't bought by it because there was so much leading on to it on the promo itself that I was expecting just much more. That's all.
Any highlights or lowlights from the baby?
Highlight for me, low light I'll start with first was Big E and Apollo Crews. They seemingly watched the match. The match only went like 5-6 minutes, and then it seemed like something happened where Big E pinned Apollo, but it wasn't supposed to happen. But then Apollo tried to save face, feud a little bit, but I'm sure we'll get more of that. As for the highlight, Bryan versus Roman was fantastic. It showed why Bryan's still, that main event guy, showed that Roman can deal it out. Obviously, there was some chicanery, as we know, and that led into what happened on SmackDown this Friday with Bryan being added to that triple threat match at WrestleMania because he actually made Roman tap out, but nobody was around to see it. So I love it,
Then Edge did the thing that he does best and hits guys with the chair.
Yeah, and they freaked out.
I think we can all agree that the Daniel Bryan Roman Reigns match was just impeccable. It was just all around. It was just a great all around match. Obviously, we're not going to see much of Daniel Bryan as like a full time guy, but personally, just looking at what they did in that half-hour match that they had, it was just fantastic. So I thought it was just a great match overall. To go differently on highlights, Drew and Sheamus was just under like 20 minutes, but it was pure physicality. That no holds barred match from top to bottom was very, very good. And I enjoyed it from start to finish. I think the low light for me was the fact that they even put Braun in the match with Elias. Like that was just a time filler. It was just a waste of space. Honestly, there was legitimately no reason for that match to be there. Honestly.
That whole angle just keeps getting worse, but you know.
But I mean, not for nothing. We also had the Fastlane predictions from last week. I went the safe route and just picked WWE winners. I literally got none wrong. I went 7-0 in the matches that we picked in. Hunterman and Diego both went 6-1.
Yep.
So as you can see,
so I guess we're trying to be different.
Smart people.
Stupid.
I know, right?
Diego, we might have to eat that one chip challenge if this keeps up. As long as we cry together, you know. But with Fastlane done now, we're on that sprint and the road to WrestleMania.
Yeah, we are.
Which brings us to today's idea of talking about our 10 top matches in WrestleMania history. From, you know, WrestleMania 1 to, what was last year? 36, 35, 36?
36,
yeah. Good number.
Who's fucking with us?
Well, who wants to start? I'm excited. I want to see how different it's going to be.
Real quick before we do this, just full disclaimer, this is our opinions on the 10 best WrestleMania matches. Everybody's going to have their own difference.
Nope. If they disagree, they're wrong.
According to Hudman, if you disagree, you're wrong. But we're going to put out a poll on Twitter once the episode comes out, and we'll see what the fans think. So I'll start. So we're going to go back and forth. So everybody's going to give their 10, then their 9, 8, 7, all the way to 1.
We'll elaborate a little bit on why we chose it, and then if a match has already been covered, we can allude to it and just hit a bullet point or two, but that way we don't overlap and, you know, everything like that.
So I think we each of us kind of tried to keep it within like WrestleMania 10 and beyond. We had probably one each from prior to WrestleMania 10. So that's where I'm starting off personally. My number 10 was Ultimate Warrior and Randy Savage at WrestleMania 7. The retirement match was so in WrestleMania 7, the two big matches of that was the retirement match between Warrior and Randy Savage, and the WWF title with Hulk Hogan beating Sergeant Slaughter. Mm-hmm. Now, you could have went either way with it, but just watching it like I have, because I've literally watched everything from 1993 on, and I watched all the WrestleManias and stuff like that. The Ultimate Warrior and Randy Savage match was just, for that time frame, it was a very good match from top to bottom. Like nothing could have been done better in that match. And they got just the right amount of time from back in the day. And with the way that it ended and having Ultimate Warrior beat Randy Savage and then having Randy Savage go on to other things with the company, it worked really well.
Nice. And if people don't know, Jones at one point embarked on a journey to watch, it was just from the first Raw through to current history, right? So what year was 93's WrestleMania? Was it that one?
No, 93's was
WrestleMania.
That would have been 10.
9.
Oh, okay, so you saw this 7. One. There you go.
So I went back and obviously watched all the WrestleManias and stuff like that. But when I started, so I've literally watched every Raw from the first one in 1993 to the beginning of 2008 is where I'm at right now.
Over the course of what, like 3-4 years at this point?
Yes.
Yeah. Still very cool. Diego, number 10?
Yeah, so
that's commitment, by the way.
Yeah. Yeah, no, so for me, the number 10 was the WrestleMania match between the Hart brothers, Bret and Owen Hart. I thought that was a good one. That was a pretty good one to watch. You know, just given the history behind it, I don't know. I just personally one of my top 10s. So.
Owen Hart, man, gone way too soon.
That was at what, 8, 9?
No, I think that was WrestleMania 9. Back in 1993. Yeah.
Did they open the show? Am I thinking of the right thing?
No.
They
definitely didn't open the show, but I remember that match, and from start to finish, it was just a chef's
clinic, I'm sure. Yeah.
It was super physical too. They both beat the piss out of each other.
Mm-hmm. That's what you like to see.
What WrestleMania was that? Because it wasn't 9.
It was 9. 10.
It was 10.
Yeah. It was 10. Oh, there you go. My earlier days WrestleMania choice actually isn't even 10. It's at it's from a different one a little bit above that. But for my number 10, I thought Edge was one of the best WrestleMania performers of all time, and I struggled to pick between two matches. I don't want this to be a cop-out, but I couldn't really decide. The Money in the Bank match from WrestleMania 21, which solidified Edge as a future world champion. And he ended up cashing in, won the title from John Cena, ended up losing it, unfortunately, very shortly after because they felt he wasn't quite ready. So, and then the other one being Edge versus Mick Foley in a hardcore match at WrestleMania 22. And that, I think, was the moment that Edge became, the main event player that we all know and love and remember. Supremely physical, supremely bloody, flaming tables. It was awesome. It just showed he had the toughness, he had the tenacity, and then he went on to do great things. So for me, I think Edge is just a staple you got to bring in at some point.
Agreed. All right, so I'll start off with my 9. There was a streak of WrestleMania matches that this guy partaked in, and I'll start with this one as my number 9. And it was actually the main event of WrestleMania 19. It was Brock Lesnar beating Kurt Angle for the WWE title. The stipulation was if Angle was counted out, disqualified, or had anybody else interfere on his behalf, he would have lost the title. And that was the infamous Brock Lesnar. Let me do the shooting star
press 30 feet away
off the top rope and completely miss and almost break my neck and still win the match. But again, that was the main event of that WrestleMania, and it legitimately was. It was. I mean, you could have did Rock and Austin. Don't get me wrong, but there was
great match.
There was a better Rock and Austin one that I'll get into after. Mm-hmm. But this Lesnar and Kurt Angle match from start to finish, you just knew it was going to be a fight. And with the way Angle was at the time, you weren't sure what angle you were going to see. You weren't sure if you were going to see like the heel angle with Team Angle and stuff like that, or if you're going to see Kurt just go out and actually have a fight. He actually went out and had a fight. It was a pretty damn good fight.
Now, not to skip the order, but my number 9 is also that exact same match.
Is it?
Yeah. So just to elaborate a little bit more on that, Lesnar won the Rumble that year. He just continued his meteoric rise through WWE. Less than a year, he was a WWE champion, King of the Ring winner, Royal Rumble winner, and then a main eventer of WrestleMania. Showed you what he was going to do and be capable of. But that's that shooting star press, man. The one thing that I think might be pretty well known is that Angle actually had to have neck surgery after that match. So the weeks leading up to that, he was very limited on TV. They even had the Eric and Kurt Angle switch on SmackDown, which was supposed to be the WWE Championship match. And Brock beat up the brother and everything like that. But they went on to have probably a half-hour long classic with some dude that just didn't have vertebrae attached to his body. That's pretty freaking good.
I think they were a little over 20 actually. I don't think they went half hour.
It was a very good Mania main event, and it got the time it deserved in front of Safeco Field, I believe. And that was just oof. And WrestleMania 19 had some classics in it, just like HBK and Chris Jericho, but I couldn't pick 13 HBK matches. So carry on.
Diego?
Yeah, so for me, it was a match previously mentioned. Number 9 is Rock versus Stone Cold Steve Austin at WrestleMania, I believe it was 14, right around the time of the Attitude Era. I think for me, it was just the build-up in itself, a clash between two very up-and-coming people at the time. Steve Austin was basically the man of WWE, while The Rock was just coming out from the Nation of Domination back then.
What a squad that was, by the way.
What a squad, the Nation.
Yeah.
Oh.
And so seeing the two clash and just bring WWE to that much of a higher stage at such an important stage, for me, that was a perfect twist. The part that kind of really annoyed me was when Undertaker and Kane simultaneously came in as well, causing at the time the evil Mr. McMahon to just kind of surrender the championship. But again, great match, great pay-per-view overall, and two very iconic figures at this day and age for WWE.
They fought, was it 3 WrestleManias?
Yeah.
Yes.
Was it 14, 15, and 19?
No, it was 15, it was 17,
14.
and then it was 19.
Okay.
I have it as 14, 15, and 17.
Let me double check because I'm pretty no,
maybe
14 was at the Fleet Center and Austin faced Michaels in the main event. Mike Tyson was special guest referee. So it was 15.
Okay. There you go.
Okay.
Unreal.
So if it was 15, 17, 19. They did it every year because they
Okay.
had something else in the works.
Right. Dude, look at that. Imagine if we knew what we were getting back at that first one. Years and
Seriously.
years of joy.
For me, number 8, WrestleMania 30. Triple threat WWE World Heavyweight Title match: Daniel Bryan versus Batista versus Randy Orton.
Yep.
The story of Daniel Bryan getting fucked over repeatedly by the Authority and having had to compete in the match with Triple H earlier in the night and then going on to win the title later that night was just probably one of the best WrestleMania moments that we've seen in literally quite some time.
Fun
See, for
fact,
me-
I'm watching that right now.
For me, that same exact match ranks a lot higher.
I have it as
I have it a lot higher.
I have it very high. So.
I have it as 8 because if we were doing moments, it would be a top 3. But if we're just doing overall matches, I've seen a lot better production.
Oh yeah.
It was still
don't-
very. Don't get me wrong, it was still very good,
Mhm.
but it's still in the top 10. It should be in everybody's top 10.
All I can remember is that Batista bomb RKO on the freaking announce table.
Yes.
That could have been so bad for everybody involved.
So that was my
The amount of injuries then. Whew.
Whew.
Oh yeah. Who goes next on number 8? On number 8.
Actually, we'll go back to
you-
you since we didn't have a duplicate.
All right. So my number 8, Eddie Guerrero versus Kurt Angle, WrestleMania 20 in 2004.
Oh, love it.
By
another good
far,
one.
a phenomenal match of the legend himself. Rest in peace, Eddie Guerrero.
Mhm.
Just honestly, what a time to be a fan of Eddie Guerrero then. What a time to be a fan of Kurt Angle as well.
Mhm.
And just when I jotted down that match, it brought so many great memories back at the time that it was impossible for me not to include it into my top 10.
Mhm. Dude, Kurt Angle put on like 4 years straight of just straight bangers for matches, like from 19 through 22. Oof.
Yep.
Let's see. So for my number 8, I don't think I need to elaborate too much on it, but is Bret Hart versus HBK in the Iron Man match from WrestleMania 12. Fact check me. I'm pretty sure it was 12. I just,
think it was 12.
2 of the greatest of all time get 60 minutes to just duke it out. I'm a huge Iron Man match fan. Like, they had that one with Kurt Angle and Brock Lesnar back in 2003.
Yeah.
Watched that as a little toddler with my little 13-inch, no color TV. It was great. And that match was just Shawn Michaels, man. Literally, the showstopper, Mr. WrestleMania.
Mr. WrestleMania, that's
Just
right.
a prime example right there. And, obviously their history got a little murky down the line with HBK and Bret, but, that's
Montreal screw job.
Anytime a match like that, like a main event program can get that much time on the grandest stage of them all, you can't go wrong, especially with guys like that.
Yeah.
Agreed. Well, when we were doing this list, I was looking at other Shawn Michaels matches, and I was like, that was great, but I feel like there were just so many better performances that he had. Don't get me wrong, 60 minutes is 60 minutes, but there were so many better performances that he could add. For my 7, Diego had it as his 8. Eddie versus Kurt Angle at WrestleMania 20. Just Kurt Angle is just so. This is the prime Kurt Angle. This is when Kurt Angle was at his best. Before, after the neck surgery, he still comes back. Eddie Guerrero, what a story was his title run.
Yep.
God rest his soul. From start to finish, you had Eddie at the end of the show holding up his title with someone else that we won't name because he shouldn't be named. But
I'll get to him later.
I couldn't put him in my thing because of that. So I have Eddie and Kurt Mania 20 as my number 7.
That motherfucker.
Yeah.
Yeah,
number 7.
My number 7 actually is probably ranked a lot higher than both of you guys's, but I'm actually gonna go with Roman Reigns and Brock Lesnar. Personally, it ranks that low for me because the match itself, it was decent. At some point, it just became kind of boring. And the fact that Brock Lesnar retained the title then.
Dude, he beat the piss out of Roman.
I mean, he beat the living shit out of Roman and whatnot. But at the time, too, like the build up to it, it almost looked like wrestling itself, WWE, was trying to put a new face to its name. And all of a sudden, Brock Lesnar here comes back into WWE when he was really supposed to be jetting back towards Dana White and UFC at the time,
Right.
and retains the title. I mean, I think everyone in the world of wrestling was kind of shocked. obviously no shocker to see Brock Lesnar win it, but at the same time, I think everyone in the fandom of wrestling just kind of wanted a new identity, and it wasn't provided then. So that's why it ranks at number 7.
My number 7, I still think is the greatest women's match in WrestleMania history. You got Charlotte Flair versus Sasha Banks versus Becky Lynch from WrestleMania 32.
Yeah, another one that ranks higher on me.
I had to include them. Like, it's tough. I remember watching it. It was that whole the end of the Divas era going into the Women's Revolution. They got their chance to shine. And
Boy, did they!
I just think anytime they do triple threats at WrestleMania, it's just fantastic.
That one, and then
I could have picked all triple threats for this entire list, and I don't think anyone would have questioned me.
That one, and then the one with Becky, Ronda, and Charlotte as well.
Yep. And now my bias at some point is going to kick in because I did attend WrestleMania 29 and 35, so you'll see. But that women's match was great, solidified it. You got the new women's championship that got revealed the next night on Raw, if I remember correctly, and it just capped off what now is like, I feel like the women are better than the men most of the time. So
the majority nowadays.
Yeah, it's unreal how that leap, I guess, from that Divas era to that women's revolution.
All right, so what are we on, 6?
Yep,
correct.
All right, so my number 6, another main event, WrestleMania 24, Undertaker and Edge for the World Heavyweight title.
Mm-hmm.
What a match that was from start to finish. Taker wins that by submission. Don't forget.
Yeah.
And legitimately going back and rewatching that again, I still have goosebumps to this day. Still, every time I watch it, I just sit there and go, but also don't forget that pay-per-view, Mania 24 also had Michaels, Ric Flair. Very good.
Yeah.
Orton, Cena, Triple H, triple threat. Very good. It had Floyd Mayweather versus The Big Show.
That was hilarious. Yes.
So good.
Pretty good.
Very good for a celebrity match.
That was an all-out good WrestleMania. And also that was when, obviously, CM Punk won Money in the Bank. And that was your tell-all.
That was a chef's kiss. Yeah.
Yeah. But that's my number 6.
Go ahead,
Diego.
No, I was like, huh?
Guy.
Right,
so,
for a second.
So
open your eyes.
My number 6, it probably should rank a little bit higher, but it is what it is. Number 6, WrestleMania 29, 2013, CM Punk versus The Undertaker. It provided everything it needed to provide.
Yep.
It was one of those matches that was highly promoted, highly anticipated, and just delivered huge results then. And as much as I would love to see CM Punk back into WWE, I know I'm not going to get it.
As we all would.
This was just one of those moments where realistically it was just two men being the piss out of each other, providing everything they needed to provide. And obviously, if I'm not mistaken, Undertaker goes to win that one, of course. But
that's when the streak was still alive.
Yeah, what an amazing match. And I mean, even both of them kind of at the end, and there's a video on YouTube when they both go back to the locker room, they just hug it out and congratulate each other for such a phenomenal match, because they were both just physically done at that point.
Yep.
So,
as someone who witnessed that live, I'll never forget it. It was, even though I was, 300 feet up in the
17,000 rows above.
I felt like I was watching wrestling action figures play, but nothing else. I can't forget that. I still think that was Undertaker's last great WrestleMania match, given how everything turned out.
Yes.
But it was, I wish CM Punk broke the streak, but since he left, it's okay.
Well, that was right before Undertaker started having a lot of physical issues and required a lot more, take more maintenance.
Well, the thing about Taker is there'd be times where Taker would take months off in a year and literally would show up back around like the fall and literally would be there
Survivor
for
Series through Mania.
Yeah.
Like May. Yeah. So number 6 for me, Mark Henry versus Ryback no, I'm just kidding.
I was about to say, get the fuck out of this phone call if that's your number 6 match.
I got confused. It's two titans of the industry. Ryback and Mark Henry. Actually,
I was surprised you didn't pick Hornswoggle versus Big Show then.
the actual number 6 for me is The Rock versus Hulk Hogan from WrestleMania 18. Icon versus Icon. It wasn't the greatest match because Hulk Hogan's really not a good. I don't think he's a good wrestler.
No,
but he's a
a
larger than life character. At the time, you still had the NWO routes. You know, you christened the new superstar in The Rock, and just the hype behind it, the reaction of the fans, like just eating out of the palm of their friggin' hands. Like if you go back and watch that WrestleMania, that easily should have main evented because poor Chris Jericho and Triple H, just the life was sucked out of the building after that. But you know, obviously The Rock went over. Hulk Hogan had some memorable WrestleMania performances, but I think that is outside of WrestleMania 3. You know, when he slammed Andre the Giant, I think that's definitely his most prolific, well-remembered match.
Agreed.
You guys didn't like Ryback versus Mark Henry? Are you serious?
Not a fucking chance. I would have rather watched in what was it? The Playboy Bunny Mania Lumberjill match than that.
Oh god, that era of women's matches at Mania. Oh, whoever got the Playboy cover of like March would just fight someone that was mad about it in like a pillow fight at wrestling, whatever.
Insert Flavor Flav here.
It's evolved a lot, and I'm very happy.
All right.
Oh, God.
Let's move into the top 5. I'll start off. Number 5, the best of Austin Raw, WrestleMania 17. Hands down.
You think so?
Yes, hands down.
Ooh,
WrestleMania 17, Rock and Austin, best one. Hands down. Just because the physicality in that match from literally from the beginning of the match to the end, and just the way that it played out in general, you didn't see it coming. WrestleMania 17, the ending to that was very, very good. And I loved every second of it. Also, one match that was on my honorable mentions list from this WrestleMania was the TLC triple threat match for the WWF Tag Team titles between Edge and Christian, the Dudley Boys, and the Hardy Boys. What a match.
That did not make my top 10 either, but it's definitely it's honorable mention right outside the top 10.
Diego, give me your 5.
All right, so my number 5, I had to keep it real in this one, even though it should really rank a lot higher, but just given the current factors of what WWE is, I actually gave Charlotte Flair, Sasha Banks, and Becky Lynch the number 5th spot. I thought, all in all, like the transition era from the previous women's division versus the transition era to the four horsewomen, like what a transition. Like even if you were at a club party and then the DJ hit the best, freshest transition on earth, that doesn't match up to this. I'll say that from a DJ's perspective.
Couldn't agree more.
I think the full lead up to it was phenomenal. The shit talking was spot on. Their performance was spot on. At the end of the day, obviously, Charlotte Flair goes to win that one. But overall, what an event. And in fact, I think it should have been the main event of that WrestleMania.
It very easily could have, man. That was a very freaking good match. For me, it's already been touched upon, much like how I feel bad. I feel like I should have ranked them a little higher, Diego. I had them at 7, but number 5 for me, Undertaker versus CM Punk from WrestleMania 29, as we elaborated on before. Taker's last great WrestleMania match. At the time, I was with one of my good pals that was a huge CM Punk fan, so we were hoping that the streak ended. But regardless, Paul Bearer died during the lead up, so they used that. They incorporated that into the storyline, and then had the nice little homage to him at the end with Undertaker doing his taunt and everything with the urn. So it's just, I think that was just like a perfect story coming to a close. And that another one could easily have main evented the WrestleMania because, Rock and Cena happened the year before. And they did it again. And it was still cool seeing them, but you didn't have to main event it twice, but I digress.
All right. Number 4, I'm checking my notes and I think someone, miswrote this here. It had Great Khali and Kane at WrestleMania 23, and that's not what it was. So hold on.
Taking my jokes out.
Oh, that's what it was. WrestleMania 23, John Cena and Shawn Michaels.
Yep.
It was supposed to be Cena Triple H. Triple H got hurt. them quads couldn't hold up, and Shawn Michaels went on the main event scene, and him and Cena had one of the best rivalries that I've seen in the modern era.
Yep.
Of WWE, and their match from just the entirety, you just didn't know who was going to win. It was so evenly matched, so many turns, so many twists. Loved every second of it. John Cena, Shawn Michaels, WrestleMania 23, my number 4.
There you go.
My WrestleMania 4th spot right now goes actually to a match previously mentioned, but not ranked. It's the triple threat match between Hardy Boys, Dudley Boys, and Edge and Christian. I just thought overall it was such a. Honestly, you can't say anything wrong about this one. You get everything best of all worlds there. Hardy Boys, obviously, we know who they are. Dudley Boys, what a legendary name in itself in WWE. Edge, who right now we're watching him and continues to just he's still got it. And then there's Christian as well, who also still got it. So
he's got his first match back on Wednesday on Dynamite.
That's right.
Yep.
And so
Can't wait to talk about that next week.
So honestly, that they ranked high for me at number 4.
Number 4 for myself has been previously mentioned, and I just finished the match itself, as I was alluding to earlier. Daniel Bryan versus Batista versus Randy Orton, WrestleMania 30. The whole storyline from literally SummerSlam, I think, with when it was Bryan versus Cena. I think it was that year, right? Because he won it, and then Randy Orton cashed in, or am I mixing up years? Yeah.
No, you got
just
it right.
That storyline, man.
That's how I set it up.
They did it and kind of screwed Bryan out of it. Over time, he joined the Wyatt family, and the fans just weren't having it. Batista came back. Everyone was like, "Oh, everyone's gonna cheer him," booed the shit out of him.
I want my shot.
Love Batista. Love
Give me
Batista,
what I
don't
want.
Get me wrong, but
give me what I want.
If you were actually going to go into this WrestleMania after hearing the outcry from the fans and having just Batista versus Randy Orton as your main event, just absolute poo.
Blue-tista.
Yeah, Blue-tista. But Bryan winning solidified himself as that A+ player, and just that scene of just 80,000 people just doing this in a sea of confetti, that'll live on in infamy for just forever. So hats off to them for listening to the fans and actually adapting through their plans.
That's just like WrestleMania 35. Listening to Kofi Mania, baby.
Saw that live too. Unbelievable.
All right, number 3 for me. Rocks. Jesus Christ Almighty! What the fuck? All right, I'm good. Back.
You okay, buddy? What'd you hit?
My bad, dude.
What is this? Suplex Biddies featuring the Tourette's guy?
Figure it.
What'd you blink?
Hey. Be kind, will you? All right. Number 3, WrestleMania 28, Rock Cena won. Hands down, was the best of the two. And the only reason they did it the next year is because they're like, oh, we're going to get John Cena away.
Yep.
Fart.
Dude, 28.
The Rock and Cena at WrestleMania 28, very good.
Can I just say, I still to this day can't believe they had The Rock win that.
I'm happy they had The Rock win that.
I mean, it made a better story overall, but
yeah,
that was very surprising.
Also, that WrestleMania, probably the quickest title loss I've ever seen. Daniel Bryan gives AJ Lee a kiss and then literally gets bro kicked and loses the World Heavyweight title in 18 seconds.
That's the low light of that WrestleMania for sure.
Yeah, 100% the low light.
Oh.
And that WrestleMania had Maria Menounos on the card.
I know. Dude, she actually was a trainer in the Performance Center until she went to TMZ. So she actually can do some stuff. Like that one time they had Snooki. That was just she did a bunch of handsprings. It was pretty cool.
All right. Daniel, give me your number 3.
Yeah, my number 3 has already been spoken about. There's not much I can add to it, but it's gonna be Daniel Bryan, Randy Orton, and Batista. That's my number 3.
There's a consensus between us all that was just a fantastic everything.
Yeah.
It's and now speaking of things that you can't say much more about, number 3 for me, Triple H versus HBK versus Chris Benoit at WrestleMania 20. I know you're not. I Stevie Richards. I know Chris Benoit the performer, one of the greatest of all time, Chris Benoit, the human being, piece of crap. Unfortunately, the way his life ended and with his brain all messed up from the concussions and everything like that, a very tragic ending to that story and his family's. But that match, again, just triple threats at WrestleMania. I mean, if you told me in like 2002, Chris Benoit was going to main event at WrestleMania and win the title, I would have laughed at you. Because, I mean, he was great, don't get me wrong, but he's like, 5'10", missing teeth, and just went like this a bunch of times and, chopped the heck out of people.
Yeah.
But he won the Rumble.
He chopped people, all right.
He did. And so, they put on a 30-minute classic, and leading up to that, they had been doing Triple H versus Shawn Michaels. And there was actually a lot of backlash at the time because they just kept doing Shawn Michaels versus Triple H, Shawn Michaels versus Triple H. So they finally decided, we can't just keep doing the same thing. Let's add so-and-so. So the WrestleMania, it was actually the first time too in Rumble history where the winner jumped brands. So Chris Benoit went to Raw to compete for the World Heavyweight title, won his match. And then as Diego talked about earlier with the Eddie Guerrero match, you had them at the end, embrace and hug each other, living out their dreams on the WrestleMania stage. And again, I wish we could use that picture more. I know it's tough.
Unfortunately, we can't. And
actually, I had someone mention to me this past week that said that he thinks, as Wally Dog 619, he streams with you guys, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
He mentioned that he's hoping that they kind of set up Rhea Ripley and Bianca Belair to have a similar moment. I know they're probably on 2 different nights, but they're very good friends in real life. So if they have each of them win the title and the other comes out to embrace each other, it would be very cool,
Agreed.
So that was my number 3.
All right, so who's the number 2 for me? It's Shawn Michaels match.
Surprise.
Shawn Michaels versus Kurt Angle, WrestleMania 21.
Oh, very good.
Ooh, thank God. Oh,
I was
about to be like, that's it. We're in the new.
Listen, I've watched that probably within the last year, and I've legit sweated no more in any match than that one. From start to finish, I say it all the time, from start to finish, matches that are good from start to finish are fantastic. That match left me on my seat for 27 minutes, and I loved every second.
Did they go that long?
27 they went.
No way.
You do realize that we caught you on camera almost poking your eye as you were going this way.
Like this, you know what I mean? Like this. Tunnel vision.
Crystal clear.
He had a full osmosis cycle right then.
I was looking like Osmosis Jones. And that WrestleMania might be my favorite one by far.
WrestleMania goes Hollywood. Yep.
You had Cena become the main event guy, beating JBL Fatality. You had Batista beating Triple H. You
had
had
guy.
Angle and Shawn Michaels. You had Undertaker and Orton.
Yep.
You had Edge win Money in the Bank.
Yep.
You had Ray and Eddie, which wasn't for the custody of Dominic, which
one of the best to that feud. It led to that one of the greatest feuds of Eddie Guerrero's career.
It did. And then they had the Big Show lose to the big sumo guy, Akibono.
Yep. Oh, that was stacked WrestleMania. Wow, looking back. Damn.
I mean, besides the fact that Trish beat Christy Hemme for the women's title. Yeah.
Wasn't that another one of the ones where Christy Hemme got on Playboy and they fought about it?
Probably.
That was such a trend. I never quite understood it. But hey,
all right. So Angle Michaels WrestleMania 21, my number 2. Let's go to Diego's number 2.
All right. So my number 2, as I just alluded, it is a Shawn Michaels match. It is no other than the Shawn Michaels versus Ric Flair match, 2008 WrestleMania 24. One of the most iconic WrestleMania moments ever in history that you will, if you literally go on YouTube and type in.
I cried as an adult.
I did.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I
cried too. Yeah. If you literally go on YouTube and type in, would you let me finish?
Yeah, stop cutting off takes, Jones.
Oh, here we fucking go. Cutting off takes. Don't even get me started. Go ahead.
Carry on, Diego.
Anyways, like I said, you go into YouTube, type in iconic moments for WrestleMania. Yeah. That is probably one of the top 3 that show up and say, the I love you moment right before Sweet Chin Music hits Ric Flair and over.
Sorry.
One of by far.
I really wish Ric Flair stayed retired, man.
Me too.
I really wish he stayed retired after that because it was just the perfect send off.
Yeah.
Then he went to TNA and did a woo! At least we got that. My number 2. My number 2 Here's the bias I was talking about. It's Kofi Kingston versus Daniel Bryan.
You
From
fucking
WrestleMania.
asshole, dude. You fucking asshole.
For WrestleMania 35. Once I was there, back in September or October, Jones can attest to this. I called Kofi Kingston winning the title at WrestleMania. Seeing that come to fruition was great. Always been a huge fan of Kofi, the New Day. And New Day, even when they originally formed, said, their goal was to make Kofi Kingston a WWE champion. So, when everything was going on and Bryan beat AJ Styles and everyone was worried, well, who the hell is going to verse Daniel Bryan at WrestleMania? And one of Bryan's greatest runs as the planet's champion. And it was just the perfect story. I mean, you had the gauntlet matches, the constantly getting screwed over. You had Daniel Bryan used to be that B+ player that they used to make the match about. And then all of a sudden, Bryan's the champion. Vince McMahon's calling him the A+ guy and Kofi the B+ player. So it was just, the story I think was perfect. Obviously he got the moment with his family and New Day, and seeing it live, I think that was the loudest ovation of the night. So excuse my bias, and also the first African-American WWE champion.
This fucking kid. Literally talking to him about this. He goes, I was like, dude, I don't know. I had to stop myself from putting it on the list from bias. He goes, don't worry about it. This fucking guy is at number 2.
Yeah, I said I didn't do it either.
Fucking piece of garbage.
Yeah, what do you mean? I had to keep it a surprise.
All right, number 1. Drum roll, please.
I feel like it's going to be the same for all of us.
Shawn Michaels
versus
The Undertaker.
Giant Gonzalez. Oh, never mind.
Shawn Michaels, Undertaker, no disqualification, streak versus Guerrero, WrestleMania 26.
Ooh, okay.
Wow, chef's kiss. To me, 25 had much was better value, but with this, from watching this and oh my goodness, just that I'm lost of words every time I say this. For me personally, this was probably one of my favorite matches of all time to watch.
Period. Yep.
Period. And it was a good WrestleMania too.
Yep.
Like you had Cena and Batista. You had Triple H and Sheamus, Rey and CM Punk with Luke Gallows and Serena, quick skizz. Chris Jericho and Edge, very good. The Show Miz, yes. Remember the big show and Miz were tag team champions against John Morrison and R-Truth? Yep. Just to cap off that WrestleMania and to solidify Shawn Michaels' historic career like that.
That main evented, if I'm not mistaken, right?
It did.
Yep.
Hands down, my favorite WrestleMania match of all time.
Diego?
Loosen up the tie and get your voice ready. Tell us what you think, Diego.
All right. So, my number 1 WrestleMania match of all time
It's going to be dumb, isn't it?
It's going to be the Miz versus Johnson.
It's actually Io Shirai versus Raquel Gonzalez. No, never mind.
Heck yeah.
Soon to be.
It'll be soon.
What is it?
Anyways.
What a pause. Jeez, man.
Anyways. The number 1 match for me is Undertaker versus Triple H, WrestleMania 28, with Shawn Michaels officiating that match.
Okay.
It was by far one of the best matches I've ever seen in all WrestleMania. Undertaker,
that was the Hell in a Cell, if I'm not mistaken, right?
It was. Undertaker and Triple H just being the living piss out of each other. A lot of tools and whatnot used as well, and they still just put up a tremendous fight to the point where you just hear Shawn Michaels just basically saying, like, give up, stop, enough already.
Yep.
You see an emotional Shawn Michaels officiating this match. And finally, at the end, all you see is the iconic picture of all three just hugging each other out, walking out of WrestleMania. Fireworks going on all over the place. Just
the tagline for that was the end of an era, right?
Yeah,
for sure. Yeah,
that's right. Yeah. So that's my number 1 match.
Dude,
that was what 28.
28, yeah.
28.
Just to elaborate on that, I've never pooed my pants quicker than when he hit that sweet chin music into the pedigree, and I thought Undertaker was gonna get pinned in that freaking match.
Yeah.
Like, of all people, you're gonna have Triple H beat the streak. Oh, luckily that didn't happen. But, all right, so for my number one, surprisingly, we've all had 3 different matches. So there you go. Mine is similar to Jones's over there, but
I figured it was gonna. Yep.
mine is Undertaker versus Shawn Michaels from WrestleMania 25 because that match is renowned by many as just the greatest match of all time in WrestleMania history. For years, everyone was waiting for Undertaker versus Shawn Michaels, Undertaker versus Shawn Michaels. And you got the tease at the Royal Rumble a few years prior, when that also is considered one of the the best closing sequences in a Royal Rumble. And obviously that was 2008. 2007, where Undertaker won. And they just put on a clinic. It was, the placement on the card was a little weird. Luckily they amended it and had it main event the following year, but you can't top that. I think that was 25 is the one where Undertaker almost just broke his spine, right? Because the cameraman, aka Sin Snuka, just didn't catch him.
Yep.
So the fact that you can go through a literal almost career ender like that and still just put on that clinic they did, I think that's the top one of all time. And I'm just glad I got to see it.
No, it was very good. The fact that didn't even at least co-main event WrestleMania that year was like John Cena versus Big Show and Edge co-main evented.
What was the name?
Yeah.
Triple H Orton.
Triple H Orton. What a feud that was.
That was a good one.
You know what the funny thing was too? Is people forget the Undertaker and Triple H before they did their WrestleMania match that Diego alluded to also fought before. Triple H was already part of the streak beforehand as well. People forget about that.
2 times.
People forget about that.
WrestleMania 17?
It was WrestleMania 17.
And then also the year prior to 28 and 27 when they had that no holds barred.
Yep.
Beat the hell out of each other match. Yeah, so they had a trilogy. And I mean,
Technically.
Yeah. Undertaker just went 3-0. Pretty good against Triple H.
Before we end the episode, any of like honorable mentions that you wanted to throw in that you completely?
I was just surprised that, my list included. I just thought it was odd that we didn't have more John Cena matches because, looking back, I feel like he main evented like 20 straight, just because that was like my whole childhood growing up. And obviously he had a couple good ones, but for me, none of them made the cut. I'm glad you picked him and Shawn Michaels. That was a very good one. But it's very odd to see superstars like that can have all these matches and then, kind of get forgotten in the past and everything.
Well, also, so he went on like a little bit of run where he main evented because he was like their face guy. So he went, he co-main evented the year with JBL. And then when he beat Triple H and then Shawn, and then when he came back from the Peck, they weren't even the co-main event of it because it was Floyd and Big Show. It was because he was with Triple H and Randy Orton. So it was just
he had a lot. I mean, he had hella matches. So
yeah. No, Diego, any honorable mention that you can think of?
Yeah, no. I mean, for me, my number one, obviously, I also had Undertaker and Shawn Michaels as well, but I just thought that the Triple H, Shawn Michaels, and Undertaker kind of gave it a spotlight to all 3 of them because for the longest time, the 3 of them were just really the center focus of WrestleMania, and they knew how to take it to that next level and deliver a really good product anyways.
Agreed.
But
I
think
for
me, the next WrestleMania event that really needs to happen is a Brock Lesnar versus Bobby Lashley.
I hope so.
Let's due up and very soon because that rivalry has gone on for so many years, and it's just time to see somebody just beat the living piss out of Brock Lesnar.
Yeah, just the 2 big muscle boys, no necks, MMA backgrounds, beat the heck out of each other.
There was a couple that I held back from putting on. Obviously, the triple threat at Mania 31 when Rollins cashed in the Money in the Bank and solidified himself as the top guy at that time.
Yeah.
And then him versus Triple H in the non-sanctioned match at, what was that, 33, 34?
Yeah. Yeah.
I think it was.
Which one was
34, I think.
Rollins, Triple H, non-sanctioned.
Yeah. Yep. Okay.
And then also, what the fuck was the other one? Honestly, Roman and The Undertaker.
I mean,
when they main evented, it was, listen, it was, you don't like it because Roman run.
No, that is not why. It was a bad freaking match, okay?
It kind of was.
That was
moments.
No. So here's why I didn't like it.
Katie Lee Bertram.
correct my timeline if you can, but because I might be off. But that was the first match where you started seeing the spam finishers matches, because they just kept hitting spears and choke slams and tombstones and stuff, and they kept doing that, and then Brock Lesnar Goldberg just F5s and spears and jackhammers. Then Braun Strowman Goldberg, power slam, spear. I hate that format. So I thought that was the beginning stages of that, and that's what makes me the most mad. But
Okay, understandable. But they also went over 20 minutes, didn't they?
it was just Roman kicking the crap out of Undertaker. Which again,
my time frame might be off. I don't know.
I'd have
might
to
be
look
thinking of
back at it.
something
I
else.
just remember watching it and just being like, really, this is what we're going to do? And it was a very decisive victory for Roman, but this is at the time when they were shoving Roman down everybody's throat, so everybody was getting mad about it. And I can't wait till he gets cheered at this WrestleMania. It's going to be well-deserved for that man.
Yeah, but I think other than that, I think that's that does it for episode
We also-
5
we
of
also
Suplex
have-
Biddies.
We also have Brock Lesnar versus Goldberg.
Nope,
That's
don't
what I was
even
talking about.
Get it off. You know what?
It's
You know what was a better
worth
match.
rose.
Booking.
It's not even
That's
worth
a
a rosebud.
No.
You know what
It was
was
such
a
a
better
piss-poor
match
booking.
than that? Braun Strowman and Nicholas winning the tag team titles were better than that
Sign
match.
off right now. Get out of here. That's worse than Ryback Mark Henry. Come on.
Shut your mouth, dude. Come on. What about the time that, what was it? Michael Cole beat Jerry Lawler.
Nope, we're done with this. This episode's already. Everyone's probably like, wrap it up.
All right. From all of us here at Suplex Biddies, Andrew, the wrestling aficionado, Hunterman, Diego, the DJ Galvis, Chris,
It's
the butt
nice.
ugly motherfucker Jones.
Chris
We're
Osmosis
signing
Jones.
off. Oh, excuse me, Osmosis Jones. We're signing off for episode 5. We will see you guys next week with some more wrestling content.
All right.
Yeah.